Hey there friends, thanks for checking in. Last week I made a video after the school shooting in Florida and I spoke about some of the facts that were available at that time. I also spoke about some of the ideas that I and so many others have to prevent or at least decrease situations like this in the future. We spoke about arming the people who were already at the school, the people who are willing to sacrifice their own safety for the protection of children or high school kids. You know, people who are willing to put themselves out there, along with utilizing the skills of some of the employees at the school who are already trained in firearms. So instead of calling 911 and waiting up to 10 minutes for somebody to show up who has a gun, we have somebody with a gun at the school who's trained to use it. Now, I got a lot of support from the people from this channel and others of similar mindset, but there were so many others on the opposite side, and I completely understand this and expected it, who said, "You are the problem. You armed that kid. You're fighting for gun rights while people are burying their children." And it's all emotion driven. I think we can agree that nobody likes a school shooting, whether somebody was injured or not. We agree that what happened was extremely tragic. What we disagree on is the best way to handle situations like this in the future. I hear the other side. They have very few ideas. They have no problem pointing the finger and saying who's at fault, but they don't have good ideas as far as what will prevent it in the future. Their answer to everything is ban, ban, ban. That would not work. If they got everything they wanted, it still would not work. They call it gun violence, as if to suggest this right here in and of itself is violent. Without any human manipulation whatsoever, this is violent. See, what's happening is they are spreading fake news. It's gone to a point where it's viral. Everytown for gun safety, Bloomberg's group, started with a tweet that has gone completely viral and now has become mainstream conversation. And it has to do with 18 school shootings in the year 2018. And people are coming up with interesting statistics by saying, well, that's 3 a week. To give the impression that our kids are in danger and that this is happening more often than we even know about. And that our kids are getting mowed down constantly because people like me is the problem, fighting for gun rights. Like, you're the problem. You're why kids are getting killed. But what they don't tell you is that within their number of 18, many of those took place after school hours. They took place on school grounds. Could have been a negligent discharge at a basketball court or on the school field. A couple were suicides where people drove up into a school parking lot, had nothing to do with children, had nothing to do with anybody else getting injured, and they took their own life. That falls into the 18 school shootings. Once again, to give the impression that our kids are in danger. It's fake news. It's false. This stuff is not happening the way they are describing it. But they send out this tweet and they claim to have these facts, and it gets retweeted by politicians and our news media. Well, like one after another, to a point where people are saying, hey, did you realize there have been 18 school shootings since the year 2018? Like, that's like 3 a week. As if all of our children are in danger based on people coming in and murdering them. Now, we all agree that anytime a gun is fired in school or around school is potentially a dangerous thing. Most people would prefer never to have this happen. But to suggest that our kids are in danger because there's this fake news statistic that these school shootings are happening during the school day is completely false. The idea is to come up with ways to prevent school shootings during the school day aimed at children and staff members. How do we get there? We have to arm the people at the school. So instead of being sitting ducks and waiting 8 to 12 minutes for officer or SWAT or anybody else to show up, we have people there who have sacrificed their time and their energy to protect other people. We see evidence of that with some of the staff members at the high school in Florida. They shielded kids away with their own bodies so that they were safe. Meanwhile, they took some shots and some passed away. A lot of courageous people. We're not utilizing them in our schools because we're too worried about banning this and banning that as if that is going to solve the problem. It won't. The only thing that makes sense to me and so many others is to allow people to exercise their Second Amendment rights at school during the school day to prevent and decrease situations like this in the future. Spreading fake news from the most ignorant people like the media and many of our politicians does nothing but make the problem worse, and that is what's happening, and that becomes people's reality when it is just this, fake news. I appreciate you watching, and you guys be safe.